Alright, now we're going to look at adding the masthead to our project. What the masthead is that's the title of the magazine, the big overarching title that you see over every magazine. Every issue is usually the same spot, usually the same size. Some magazines will put the object, the main imagery, over top. Some don't. So you gotta check your individual magazine to see which way that should go. And there's two ways of adding these in. The first way I would always try is using text. What you would do is look at a bunch of covers of the magazine, like you can kind of see on the side here. I have a couple sitting here that I was looking at. And what I did is I actually even dropped one of those titles right into place here. So I'm going to turn off everything except for that cover. So there you go. So there's just that cover. And what I did is I worked with just this layer active. I then went through a whole bunch of different fonts in Photoshop. You can also find a font on defont.com and install it, and in the next video I'll show you how to install a font when you download them. And I modified those fonts then so that I can fit the Field and Stream on here. What I did, so let's just kind of move this temporarily here so you can see. So let's move this entire thing. Oops. I got too much selected here. Let's take this one and this one. There we go. So what I did is I literally laid this on top of here as I was typing. And if you notice in my character window, so I'll show you how to bring this up just to remind you. So I highlighted the word field. I kept changing the size. So here's my character palette here. This will open it up, or you can go to window character. And I kept messing with the size of the font. 300, for whatever reason, that round number ended up working out perfect. The spacing in between my two lines ended up being 225. So again, I just played with these numbers until I got this right, because before stream was too far down low, and then I had it where the two words were overlapping, so I had to keep messing with that. The other thing that I messed with, if you notice, field is 98% wide and 100% tall. That gave me just the right height, and it spread it out to where it just fit from side to side. Then I did the same thing with stream. This case it was 100% and 100% work, so sometimes each word needs to be a little bit different. I also put a faux bold on here because the bold that came with this particular font was actually too bold. It didn't look right. So you really got to kind of be picky with this and keep playing with these numbers and this character thing until you get what you want. To do the and, if you notice what I did for that, I actually made that its own separate word, and I just put it on top. And again, if we go to the character palette on here and look, it was 78% tall and 102% wide. That's what it happened to be with 300-point font to get that thing to fit. So again, it's just a matter of messing with that. So that's one way to do it. And then what I did is after I typed it out, I again looked at a bunch of the covers, and I realized that what they tend to do on Field and Stream is mostly a drop shadow. So I added that same thing to mine. So to do that, I went to the layer, I hit the FX button, picked drop shadow, and I just kept messing with the settings until I got it right. To copy it from one to the other, I just held Option and dragged the effect from one side to the other. So I can copy effects that way. So again, I held Option when I dragged that. So my masthead is done. If I wanted to change the color of this, I could just highlight the words and change the color just like I would text. So that's kind of how I can do that. But again, looking at Field and Stream, it seemed like it was usually always white or black, mostly white. So I just went with what they do. The other way of doing this, let's say I'm doing like Sports Illustrated and I'm just struggling. I just can't find this font. I spent a lot of time looking for a cover where it was like this, where it didn't have, let me break that off, there we go, where it didn't have a person blocking part of the image. Because what I want to do here is I'm going to do this a little bit different way. I'm going to go to this layer and I'm going to make a selection of the letters. So I'm just using my quick selection here. I can use any tool though. And I'm just going through and selecting each letter. So this is the second way of doing this. Now when I found this image too, I also made sure that I had a very, very large image. So I have that selection done. Next thing I'm going to do is create a new layer. And I'm just going to fill that with a color. Now if I wanted to change this in the future to a different color, I could. I could just come back to my pixels and fill them with a different color. So there we go. So there's my color. Then what I did is, once again, I played with effects just to match the Sports Illustrated thing. So to kind of show you, if I just steal the effects from this one that I did earlier, there they are now. So there's my Sports Illustrated. And if I look at that on a different background, you can see I missed a letter with my selection, but I pretty well got it. Now the other thing I would need to do to this one, if you notice, up top, I kind of messed up. It's not quite right. So I would need to go back and kind of clean up my selection. So you can see this isn't quite as nice as when I typed it out for the other one, but if you have no other choice, then this would work as well. So again, big image, make a selection of the letters, create a new layer, and just fill that selection with a color. Then use effects to kind of match any effects that that particular magazine does. And again, that'll work, just not as great as the other way.